Good morning, again. 8:34. Happy Tuesday to you. Unfortunately, tragedies occur. They do in life. We've heard many stories, unfortunately. But also out of those tragedies, a lot of times comes something beautiful or amazing, or something that can help others after having experienced a terrible tragedy. And we're grateful. We're excited to have Lauren in with us. She is the founder and CEO of ROTH ID Tag, ROTH, ROTH ID Tag.com, ROTHIDtag.com. Lauren, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming in. If you wouldn't mind, would you mind sharing that origin story of ROTH ID Tag and how the company came about?
Yes. So on December 23rd, 2022, my sister was killed in a 47 vehicle pileup on the Ohio Turnpike. And fortunately, her 4 and 5-year-old in the backseat survived. However, they were unidentified for over 5 hours when they were 10 minutes away from their entire extended family because it was Christmas. So, and then it took us 10 hours to learn about my sister being deceased. And, the next day, on arguably the saddest Christmas Eve of my life, my mother just looked at me and said, if only the children's information had been on their car seats. And my son was 2 at the time, and I traveled the country regularly. So I got on the Google and I said, I need to have this on my son's car seat right away. And we learned that there was no universally accepted system that was trusted both by parents and first responders. So we got to work and we created it, and we launched the ROTH ID Tag in April of 2024. And we've just hit the ground running. We've been on the market for less than 2 years. We've got 400,000 tags out on car seats in all 50 states, and I think 13 or 14 countries now.
Oh, wow.
And we've got stories that just pour in daily from first responders saying my child had family, or the child had family at the hospital before they even arrived. We have parents who say, I was in an accident. I had to make the choice between going with my newborn or my 2-year-old. And luckily, the child had their ROTH ID tag on their car seat. So dad was able to get there before they even had to be transported. So, it's a heartbreaking story, and I miss my sister deeply, but we've really found a way to bring some purpose out of our tragedy and help keep families connected in emergency situations.
Let's talk about the system and the ROTH ID Tag system, because you mentioned trust. That's got to be a huge factor. So what is this system of trust that your family's built?
Yes. So the hurdles that we learned for first responders was that anything out there that parents might be using, a lot of makeshift ideas, would have one emergency contact. But who are you listing? You're listing to the primary parent. And 9 times out of 10, that's who's driving the vehicle. Then who do you call? And then systems weren't easily removable from car seats. So parents were leaving outdated information on car seats. And then most importantly, in some really tragic accidents, first responders don't have time to be transcribing information off car seats, and they can't always take the car seat with them. So we developed a system that when first responders approach the car seat, they just pull at the red arrow, and then it removes easily, becoming a wristband. It goes on the child's arm or leg, no matter where they end up, no matter how chaotic the scene, the information goes with them. And we have included room for 3 emergency contacts on that car seat. So you're going to list both parents or 2 primary caregivers, and then we tell parents that third should be somebody who doesn't live in the same household. Chances are not likely that all 3 of you are going to be in the same vehicle, that first responders can always reach somebody for that child.
And so those stories, like you had mentioned, I could imagine when you went first to the first responders with this, what was that like, that conversation, and what's it been like since?
I get goosebumps, actually, when I think about this. So when we first launched, we didn't even launch anything targeting parents. We actually targeted first responders because we knew if they weren't looking for it, it wasn't going to be useful. And that's actually when we went viral. We went just bananas last summer because first responders all have a story. They all have at least one, if not more, of a situation where they had a child that was unidentified. And a lot of times they're passing that child off to law enforcement, child protective services, the hospital. They never even know where they end up. So it tends to stick with them. So they all have a story, and they took this and they just ran with it, and they championed it. And now we have a community partnership program. We partner with first responders, police, EMS, firefighters across the country. We have over 900 community partners who've said, our department is going to take this. We're going to educate our community. We're going to educate other first responders, and we're going to implement this so that no child is left unidentified.
The education side. So is it as simple as, okay, I buy the Roth ID tag, I set it up the way it's supposed to be, and then that's all I have to do? Is there anything else I have to do on like a day-to-day, month-to-month?
No, that is all you have to do. And it's great because we intentionally designed this to not be dependent on technology. So parents can fill out exactly what they want on that tag. They get full discretion on how much information they share. And then they can customize it. So if it's going on, my son's car seat and my mother-in-law's car says riding with grandma on it. So if she's in the accident, they know his relationship to that person. So you really fill it out. You put it on there. You don't have to worry about it day to day. You don't have to think about it. We send out emails, to our parents every 3 months, and we just say, hey, is everything up to date? Did somebody's phone number change? Do you need to update that? Otherwise, it's kind of set it and forget it. And then first responders, we have so many stories who said, I didn't even know about this, but I saw the shiny tag and I ripped at the arrow and I knew exactly what to do. So it's really intuitive on every level.
You mentioned that whenever unfortunately, when your sister passed, that the idea was, okay, there's not something that exists. Having since created it, have you heard that similar story from anybody, and unfortunately that went through a tragedy or had been thinking about this need? Have you heard that from people?
Actually, there's this woman, Janet, who has been one of my biggest cheerleaders through this entire endeavor, who reached out not long after we launched, and not long after then Julie passed away. Her daughter, unfortunately, passed away. And unluckily, it was close enough to her house that she heard the accident and she was able to get to her grandbabies. So they weren't unidentified.
Wow.
But when she heard my story, she was like, that could have been my that could have been my grandbabies. And so she's actually become a child passenger safety technician with me. She's, championing child passenger safety. She's out there pounding this pavement. She's spreading the word. She's wearing our t-shirt. So we've gotten quite a few stories from people who are not just affected by it, but their own story. They're championing this and they're helping to educate parents and first responders.
You mentioned the car seats, but could it go on a seatbelt too for an older child, or for maybe if you have someone with special needs who's not in a car seat, but they're just,
I love that you asked that. That was actually the biggest demand we had when we launched the car seat tag was, what about my child out of a car seat? So just this last February, we actually launched our traveler tag, which is also available at rothidtag.com. And that is a Nomex cuff that goes on just your regular vehicle seatbelt. It has an insert in it that has all of the same information. It actually has more information available because typically adults have more medical history. And we also designed that insert that it can go right in your wallet. It can go in your glove box. It can go in your kid's backpack. So when we sell our traveler tag, we sell multiple of those inserts so you can kind of put them everywhere. But yeah, so we have something for adults and kids out of car seats. And a big demand we've gotten with that is elderly. And, a lot of people are like, my parent needs this because sometimes they're driving and I'm not so comfortable.
Right.
So it's kind of it covers all the bases.
Unfortunately, sometimes when tragedies happen like this, like when Julie passed, it can drive families apart. But you guys, it sounds like your story is that your family's gotten closer since.
We are closer and stronger than ever, and it is truly a blessing. I've seen tragedies tear families apart, and unfortunately, my family's not unfamiliar with tragedy. We've been through a lot together. I lost another sibling just 10 months after Julie passed away.
So sorry.
And a totally different set of circumstances. But this whole company wouldn't exist without my family. It's really, I think, the purpose behind the company has helped us keep focus on the bigger picture. And sometimes we get after each other, and then we go, okay, what are we here for? Let's focus.
Share a story about Julie. What was it like as a sibling? Something just even personal. Did you guys eat the same cheeseburgers together, or what were some of those memories you've got?
So Julie and I were all close in age. So my mom had 5 kids, and 3 of us, Julie, Ashley, and myself, were all a year apart. So we were very close. And she was a funny gal, and we would always play. My family plays this card game, which I'll spare the radio the name of it, but it's kind of like progressive rummy. And we just razz on each other the whole time. And I remember one time we're sitting there playing, and she's just looking at her hand, and we're all like, "What are you doing?" And she just taps her cards, and she goes, "I have plans." And now that's kind of stuck with our family. So every time we're playing this card game, we're all tapping our cards, and when we don't know what we're doing, we're like, "I have plans."
You can have a plan. The Roth ID tag, that can be your plan, and it's as easy as just buying a tag, setting it up once, and then you can have some sense of relief. And Lauren, thank you so much for coming in and sharing the story of your sister, Julie. As tragedy has happened, you guys have turned this into an opportunity for a lot of families. So thank you for that. We really appreciate that. ROTHIDtag.com. That's the website, ROTHIDtag.com. As simple as buying the tag, which now even the new travel tag. If you have a child outside of a car seat or want just that kind of identification to be able to have in your vehicle, ROTHIDtag.com. Thanks again, Lauren.
Thank you.